Well, hello, I'm Ryan Dziadosz, and this is our first episode of the MoRo Talk Show. And I'm very excited to have as my first guest Kevin Wright, who's a Rotarian. And we'll be talking to him, and he's been great at coming in and helping us out with AV, as you all know. And he agreed to be our first guest, too. So I've got some questions I want to ask him and get his innermost thoughts on all things Modesto Rotary. So, Kevin, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Ryan.
Good.
Or should I? Okay, let me just go President Ryan, since this is a Rotary.
Well, thank you very much.
So,
I promise not to fine you for missing
thank
that
you.
your first time around. Okay, so we were talking a little bit before the cameras are actually rolling, and I'm going to ask you the same question again. When did you join Modesto Rotary Club, and who is your sponsor?
I joined in 1976. And,
76?
Or no, sorry.
That's
yeah. 1996.
Okay.
Time flies.
It sure does.
So,
right.
Harry Pierce was my sponsor.
Okay.
Back then, and yeah, it was. I was much younger.
Much younger.
Yes.
Didn't have so much of that gray hair.
No, not at all.
Well, this year I think I've got a couple more strands than I had last year for sure.
Well, for good measure, I'm sure.
Yeah, true. So I think it's neat that people join Rotary, but what we get interested in when you get in leadership is, why do people stay in Rotary? Because a lot of people join, right?
Yes.
But it's those people that stay. So I'm always curious is, Kevin, what made you stay?
Just the quality of the group, the meetings every week, the quality of the presentations, allowing me to key in on what was happening in the world around us, rather than just my own world, which constituted what I was doing business. Now I can go beyond that and take in other things that were affecting us, or just need to be aware of other entities. So it was the quality and the quality of the relationships. Even though it took like 5 years before I finally settled in and really felt like I got to know people, it was worth going through that 5-year period, because now I walk in the room and I know a lot of people. Well, there's a lot of new people I don't know, but I would love to meet them as well. And yeah, it just takes time, but it is worth the investment.
Very much so. I was new in town when I joined. So for me, it was just an absolute window into what the heck was going on in this community. Immediately, how do you plug in as a new person to this community? And Rotary, I had not been a Rotarian before, was just an excellent way to do that because of the programs, because of the people you were meeting, and you just had, for me at least, it was a really good sense of what the heck was going on in the community.
Yes, yeah. I totally agree. This is a great spot to be. Yeah,
it's a great club. And it's, if you treat the members well and really try to do your best for them, I think they show you that right back.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have, and it's okay if you don't, do you have any specific Rotary moment? We talk about that sometimes when oh gosh, that was really just the moment where I either fell in love with the club or Rotary itself, or.
Well, the Rotary moment was always Marion Martino and Dr. Andy Soderstrom's dentist chair. That was if I could have recorded that one, I know probably most members of the club would have given me $100 for that recording.
I see.
Because those of us who were there all recall her little soliloquy on being getting multiple things done at the same time.
I see. Okay. Interesting.
But that was I don't know, that was a highlight moment that sticks out in my mind. But that kind of stuff just helped create the camaraderie.
Sure.
And wonderful memories of the club. Each president that has come through, they added their own flavor, and we tried to capture that flavor by the way we kicked them out.
Sure.
And those are all good memories. I wish I had been around when Mr. Cardoza was club president. From what I understand, he rode a cow or a bull, or
Wow.
he rode some animal into the club meeting.
Wow. Neat.
So that's making a statement.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But I wasn't there for that one. But that did attract my attention in getting involved in the club,
Yeah.
knowing what kind of just crazy stuff people were willing to do.
Right.
You know, it's all good fun.
Right.
So my favorite moments of Rotary are going to the summer social.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, a time to just sit and talk with people and just enjoy who they are and get to know them a little better than I can in a meeting. Of course, right now I'm so tied up with making sure that the technology runs correctly that I have no time. Yeah, I can't sit out in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Love to sit out in the audience and catch up with people, but right now is a different time for me, and eventually that time will lighten up and I'll be able to get back into more weekly engagement with people. But summer social's always been a high point, regardless, because it's a time when people let their hair down and just sit and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think we all desire, is to get to know other people
Right.
on a more personal level.
Yeah, and I think, even though we're doing the hybrid and we have people there in person, the sitting 6 feet apart has been tough for people because they can't have those conversations. And so I hope there's a time soon when that's lifted and we can sit closer together and
Yes.
do those things. So I think you're right. I think the social interaction is a big part of it. So big time. I think to follow along on that, those interesting moments. I think my first one and then I was a part of it, was the kickout for David Boring. I think we had a lot of fun with that. Past President Pete had done it for David because he was president before, and you were doing the AV, and just we were in the out of the room, and it was more theatrical, and I think the script was pretty funny, and it was just a really good Rotary meeting, and special and fun, and people are still commenting on it. So I get what you mean about those times when people are laughing or really entertained, or those things. So.
Yeah. And that particular kickout, now that I think back, those kind of, any type of kickout like that, where it's on the theatrical side, really engages me, because I love live theater.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with anything.
Right.
No one else knows the script.
Right, true.
Oh, we meant that to happen.
Right.
Boy, that came off better than we'd expected.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now that you bring that up, I can think back in my mind's eye to that event. Yeah, that was in the Arbor Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on the fly, from rehearsal to
Yeah, we
like
did it
the
that
program.
morning. Yeah. We got together and did the rehearsal that morning.
Yeah,
So
that was fun.
yeah, everyone came in though and did their part. So
Yes.
it's a good time.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody doesn't know, but just in case, tell the folks what you do for a living.
Yeah. Well, I've had to reinvent myself since when I started out in 1988. I started in video production, doing live multi-camera weddings.
Okay.
And what I discovered was that if you can survive doing a wedding and do it well, you can do anything.
Yeah, and
Because-
great training
Yes.
for photographers, for videographers, for all those things. Weddings are great training.
Yep.
I don't do them. Because
I don't
you
do
don't
them
do
anymore.
Yeah, because they're
I paid my dues.
Right.
Okay.
but great training.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to sit on my thumbs while my daughter was getting married 2 weeks ago. You didn't know this.
No. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And it's sit in the front row and not get on my BlackBerry to tell my crew, hey, the audio's ringing.
Yeah.
Will you fix it?
Right.
I just had to endure everything. But no, I had to reinvent myself this past year because for basically the last 24 years, I've been producing corporate meetings and events.
Right.
So that meant I put together all the audio-visual equipment in support of that meeting, from sound, lighting, video reinforcement. And then last year with the pandemic, that forced me to pivot back into video production again. So now I am internet-based video production, basically internet television studio.
Right.
Similar to what we're doing right now.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just finished a 12-week project where we sent out camera gear all over the U.S. and recorded remotely presenters, and then I had to edit all that stuff, put it together, and then put it into a training format.
Interesting.
And,
wow.
yeah, it was great project. But I look at projects like those as, you know, something different to do, and so I never view it negatively. Although initially, before I got into the project, I was kicking and screaming, going, "I'm back into video production!"
Right.
Because those who have never edited a program have no appreciation for the amount of time that goes into that part. They only see this part, the recording.
Right.
And they go, "Oh, well, that was easy. I recorded whatever I was supposed to record, and now I'm done."
Right.
Well, that's just where the real work begins.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's been a great ride, you know, for all these years, and even pivoting into this part of the production work is a great experience, and I get to work with great people all over Modesto and all over the valley because, you know, in my 32 plus years of doing this now, I've made it a point to get to know everybody that does anything in the world of production. And then when a project comes up that I need their particular skill set, I reach out and hire them.
Yeah.
So you're always getting the best and not just me.
Right.
Because I may not be the best at what that skill set is, but I know who is.
Right. So normally, you know, so pre-pandemic, our jobs didn't intersect too much. So, you know, I've got an advertising agency. I would say we specialize in video, and, you know, we do a lot of editing and stuff like that, and you do the live events with the AV and all that kind of good stuff. So if people ever called me, you know, I'd say, "Oh, no, we don't do that. You know, call Kevin Wright, and he's great." But now, with the pandemic, we've had to get into, you know, more AV and broadcasting and things like that, and you've become a video editor, which you didn't want to do, you know. But it's how are we both serving our clients the best? So.
Yep, and that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind teaching people in my related field what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I have no fear of you as a business person taking my clients. If my client wants to go with you, oh well, that was their choice.
Right.
That doesn't, it doesn't scare me to have that happen. Because the one thing I've found over 32 years is typically, if they aren't satisfied with the experience they just got from the new company they went with, they come back.
Sure.
And I know in the world of audiovisual production that I was doing, where I design their event and do everything, that was just par for the course.
Oh, yeah.
But in the world of video production, I view it the same because each company and each individual within that company is going to come at the whole video process in their own creative way. So it's just, once they get beyond bottom line budget, which should never drive video production,
Right.
but always does,
Right.
then, you know, really what a person should be looking for is who interacts with me the best, who can tell my story the best, who cares about what I'm doing. You demonstrate that, you get the client.
Right.
So me having some esoteric secret, is ridiculous, because that's not going to protect me with whether the client stays with me or not.
Right.
So one skill set that I do have is I can do legitimate hybrid meetings where we can all talk together in real time. Well, that's not everybody has that or wants to invest in that.
Right.
So that may not be your company's strength. I'm happy to tell you how to do it. I mean, you've already met the guy who is my other brain cell,
Right.
Jeff Groatro, who knows how to do it.
Right.
And, but that's not, going to keep a company from knowing that secret and knowing how to use it. It's not a secret. It's just technology.
Sure.
It's just having somebody dedicated
Yeah.
to doing it. So whether you go with me or you go with somebody else, that's your choice. But video production is so creative.
Right.
It's such a creative process. It's being able to tell the story and then capture that with good sound lighting and whatever else embellishes it. That's really what the client has to look at.
Right. So last spring, when I was still president-elect, so we're recording this in March, and I think we talked in maybe April,
Yes.
April or May, and I came to you and I just said, hey, I want to do these meetings, and I'd like you to be a big part of it. And you and I just had a talk. We had talked here, and you said, yeah. I said, I think so, and let me just think about it a little bit more and then get back to me. Got back to me, which you did. And you've been a tremendous help since then. So we even jumped on with Phil, past President Phil, and started running more of the AV because I was kind of co-piloting for him for a while. Yes. And then from there, we just transitioned into doing it here and then getting back to the DoubleTree and things like that. So thank you for saying yes. A.
You're welcome.
And then, when we talked too, I remember you were saying, well, hey, the easiest thing is to do it to Vimeo, right? And then it's more like a TV show. And while I, got that aspect of what you were saying for sure, I said we have to have that interaction. We have to have members be able to talk and interact, because otherwise it's just going to get, where it's even more something that they can pass up, especially if it's one way.
Yeah.
And then to your credit too, you got that, and so we were able to keep the Zoom format and elevate it, but keep it.
Well, I remember when I came into your studio, into the bunker,
Yes.
for the first time, and watched you doing, switching, stuff around in Zoom, and then I got to do it the next week. My heart does not get started very often. It
Right.
stays at a very even, low pace
Right.
for the vast majority of the time. Boy, it was slamming.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to do it and do it right.
Right.
And so that requires a lot of attention and dedication. And I could see that when you were doing it. I mean, you were definitely on the head of the pin, trying to keep everything going, and you did it very well. So I was happy to take that role and responsibility from you, because I knew you had your presidency coming up, and there was no way you were going to do everything.
Right.
You needed somebody to delegate to. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
so now when I go into meetings, doesn't matter what happened. My heart's still at a resting rate.
Right. And so, and we've talked about that, because I've learned that from you. So just so you know, you've taught that to me. Like, hey, you can't be this stressed out. You didn't say those exact words,
Sure.
but, because I think you've worked on it yourself a while ago. And, I believe you told me that. Like, hey, I had to work on this, and it's a long time ago, and I got it out of my system.
Yes.
And I was putting it on myself only because of I really wanted to do a good job for the club.
Sure.
You know, and you don't want to ever let these people down, you know, because I always feel like they never let me down. And so, but I had to learn from you, like, we can do the best we can do, and that's what we can do.
Yes.
And if you honestly try, then I've told other people too, the blessing and the curses, we have another meeting next week. So the blessing is that you can never stay mired on a mistake you made. Because,
Right.
man, you got another meeting next week, and it's like, hey, how do I fix that mistake and then hopefully not make any more?
Yeah.
You know? And so that is the curse of that is, man, it's a grind. You know, there's a meeting every week, and it's a grind, and you got to get through them, and sometimes you don't ever feel like you can catch your breath. But the blessing is you can never stay mired on a mistake.
Yes.
And you just got to keep rolling. So that's the nice thing about the meeting every week.
Yeah. And that's been my goal for every meeting of your presidency. Definitely by the end. Maybe we'll have most of the bugs worked out.
Right. Well, and you know, we know this, but man, there's just a day where there's gremlins in the system.
Oh yeah, it happens.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or just last week we were in the Napa room at the DoubleTree, and they didn't have a hard line.
Yes.
I think your words were, hey, I got something to tell you. Yeah. Oh, we don't have any internet right now. Okay. All right. But we'll figure it out. And we did.
Yep.
You know, we got on the Wi-Fi. It wasn't that bad of a connection.
Yeah.
We were able to roll with it.
Fortunately. Nobody
yeah.
was competing with us on that Wi-Fi. That's what saved us.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we didn't have any major things going on right then.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, our speaker's via Zoom. And you went, oh, yeah, okay. But it worked.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
It worked.
Yeah.
And that was
I mean,
good.
worst case, I would have been hotspotting off my cell phone. That would have been really rough.
Right.
Yeah.
But we made it work.
Would have got it done.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you know, and we were talking about this, and we've talked about it, it's become a big part of the meeting.
Yes.
You know, so even if these restrictions that we're in are lifted, and the social distancing and the masks and all that stuff, I'm talking with President-elect Sue right now about how do we continue this? Because the membership likes it.
Yes.
You know, and the membership likes, hey, if I can't get down there, I can tune in. Or if I'm traveling, I can tune in. Or, you know, like we were talking about before the meeting, if we have a speaker that can't be in Modesto physically, they can tune in.
Yeah. Yeah, that really opens up a whole new opportunity for our club and the quality of presenters that we can access. So I don't think we lose anything in value by the presenter not being physically in our club, presenting from the podium.
Right.
So I'm glad we're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's people out there willing to participate that way.
Right. Taking lemonades and making taking lemons and making lemonade. I think
There you
that's
go.
the saying. Yeah.
Yes.
But pretty much.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talked about it a little bit, but tell me about that sense of calm and tell me how you've worked on it.
Well, it goes back to my school bus driving days, where I used to train school bus drivers.
Okay.
And they always allowed the trainer to stand in the stairwell where you'd get on and off the bus.
Okay.
Well, I took one look at that. I said, no, I'm not standing there.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, that doesn't seem too safe to me.
I've got to trust this guy.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing I can do if he runs off the road or, you know, does something stupid. There's nothing I can do. So I want the safety of the seat in front of me. But I had to learn how to breathe.
Okay.
Because I would go I always ran at 1,000 miles an hour inside.
Right.
So completely stressed all the time. And but that made me learn how to breathe and how to relax. You know, you start doing some breath control moves.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, you know, the world is okay again.
Right.
So even when the driver would make a mistake or whatever, Oh, okay, we survived that one.
A bus full of kids, that's important.
Well, there was nobody on when I was training.
Oh, I gotcha.
It's just
Okay,
me
good.
and him, or her.
Sure.
But that was, it was just great perspective. And from that, I learned, well, that was a key one. And then the other one was when I started in video production. We had a youth group at the church I was going to, First Baptist, formerly, downtown. We had a youth group of 300 people. It was a college career group.
Okay.
And we would do national tours. So I bummed a video camera off of another friend, and I would stand up in front of the group taping whatever sketches were going on, because our group was very active theatrically.
Okay.
And initially it felt like, 100, 200 eyes were boring through the back of my head as I stood up there in front of God and everybody, just videotaping. Well, after a month of that, then it was like, oh, I don't have to be embarrassed about this. I'm part of the woodwork when I'm doing this, and people will allow me to go stand up in front of them because they know that what I'm doing, they're going to get to see later,
right?
And they'll be able to hoot and holler all over again. So that was just great perspective to get me over that personal embarrassment part of being out in front, so I don't worry about it anymore. I learned to breathe when I do, and and just realize that people want me to succeed in what I'm doing, so they give me the room to do it.
Right. Another thing that's good has been being able to get back to the live meetings.
Yes.
Because, and I made the joke with you and Kathy and Stephen and Chelsea, like, I finally found that some of my jokes are at least funny because people are laughing.
Sure.
Because you guys we're also tuned into what was going on, that, you're half listening and half whatever. I got the occasional chuckle. It's like, okay, some of these jokes are funny. People are laughing, and so that was important. But also and not that I'd ever, you don't want to forget the people via Zoom at all, and I try to do a good job of incorporating them, not perfectly, but try to. But you've got those people in the room, so you've got that energy. You've got, I think in school everybody learns a communication feedback loop. So when you're just performing into a camera lens, that loop isn't really there. And sure, I was talking with people on a monitor, but it's that live energy coming back to you. So that's why I'll glance down to catch them. Yeah.
No,
good.
That's that wasn't my idea. That was between you and Kathy to structure it that way.
Yeah.
And I can see you feeding off of that. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's a good move.
Not getting into super technical detail that you and I would find very vastly interesting, but give the people who are watching this some sense of what goes into setting up for a production every Tuesday.
Well, it's an 8-hour dedication for 4 people, and we started at 8:30. Well, roughly 8 hours. Maybe my calculation's a little off by maybe an hour. Now that I'm thinking about it,
right.
But. We started at 8:30 in the morning, and the nice thing about working with consistent crew is each person knows their job, and so we don't have to. I no longer have to tell anybody, what it is that's missing so far, or hey, we got our time clock's starting to run out on us. We need to hurry up. Everybody just knows their job, and they just go in and do it. So. So from that aspect, it's gotten easier. And sorry, now that question is slipping away from my head.
The setup each Tuesday.
Yeah. So we're working with consistent equipment now.
Right.
So it's just following a mind map of how all the equipment's plugged in. It's become much easier now that we're doing it every we've had the same equipment now for 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And so our core gear is there, and it's very, very easy in the technical sense now to get everything hooked up and running.
But there's no, I don't think people realize, like, we've got to set up everything.
Yes.
Like, it all has to be set up. It's not just like over in the corner and we pull it out and the wire, we stretch out the wires. We've got to set up everything.
Yes. The setup part, takes us till about 10 o'clock. So we've got it down to about 90 minutes.
Right.
Then after that, for the next 2 hours, I'm making sure everything's troubleshot and working. So if we're in real trouble, it'll take me 2 hours. If it's everything reacts the way it's supposed to, and it's all been hooked up the way it's supposed to, then I'll have an hour. Yeah.
And I get there about 11, and you guys are fine tuning and maybe running the intro video and things like that. Funny story, when we had the guy from CHP.
Oh yeah.
So we had a guy from CHP, so I picked the Chips theme when the old TV show to start it.
Sure.
And you were doing something with the video, working out some kink. So we ran that thing about 10 times, because you're working out a kink.
Sure.
And he had showed up. He introduced himself, really nice guy, of course.
Yep.
He leaves. He said, "I'm going to make a couple calls to the meeting starts." Okay, great. And he leaves the room, and that's when you started running the video. We were running it over and over and over, and he popped back in the room, and he made a joke. He said, "What? You play this enough, and I show up? What's going on here?" And he said, "No, we're just testing the equipment and testing the video and stuff like that." But that was funny.
Good times.
Good times. Yeah, that was neat. And we were talking about memorable meetings and things like that. I think the latest one was, when I announced that if we get to 20 members, I'll shave my head.
That was a doozy.
That was a doozy.
That one caught me by surprise. I was just so glad I had you in gallery view for that. Yeah, because Layla's feedback was just priceless.
Yeah. All unplanned. People ask me, was that planned beforehand? No, it was not. No, she was just as surprised as everybody. I didn't even tell Kathy what I was going to do.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So it's just you and Tim that knew.
Yeah, and Tim brought it up, and I just said, no, that's not going to happen. What's wrong with you? The more I thought about it, the more I thought that's not a bad idea, because I think it needs something out of the box to get get the folks thinking about it more. So. But
and mentally, you were preparing for your new role in The King and I.
You were, exactly. and they just happen to be doing The King and I, which will be my new role. But it was fun.
That was a hilarious meeting. I mean, your wife couldn't have been more on point in her reaction.
Very angry, but I know for a fact, we talk about what we're doing with Zoom and all those things. I knew she couldn't actually come to that meeting. But she could tune in for about 45 minutes.
Yes.
But if she would have had to drive down to the DoubleTree and park and all that stuff, she couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the benefits that, hey, those neat meetings, those funny things that really can tie the membership together, that can still happen, in our hybrid space. Yeah. So that's good.
That is a big positive right there. Because, we're all busy lives. I recall one meeting where one of the members was driving up to Oregon and, just on their phone.
Yeah.
Making sure they were involved that way.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's great.
Right.
I mean, you're on the road anyway. Hey, you might as well catch the meeting.
Yeah.
And if you can interact, at which she could, that was even better.
Yeah.
So, I think other members have been on the road during certain parts of your year, and also were able to participate. So, that's a fantastic use of our new paradigm.
Right. Yeah.
So let's make it. Do it for the better.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want people that are going to watch this? We're going to put this on the MoRo YouTube channel. So is there anything that you want people to know that I haven't asked you, or that you want covered?
for everybody, it comes down to why are we involved in Rotary?
Yeah.
And what makes it so special. For me, it's the quality of relationships and being able to talk with people every week outside of my normal business practice. So I enjoy that. And I enjoy giving back to Rotary through what I'm currently doing as well, but it's the relationships, it's the socials that we hopefully will get again.
Yeah.
That really keep me going. And you feel a part of a community. I mean, there's nothing like that. If you aren't part of the larger community, well, welcome to Rotary. Now you are. You can go anywhere in the world, make up in any club in the world. And, it's a wonderful perspective that you probably won't get through most other activities.
Yeah.
So
That's great. And I thank you for mentioning that. And, that was my Rotary moment I talked about at my first meeting is we know Rotary happens all over the world, right?
mm-hmm.
We know that. And you're told it and you know it. But when you actually see it and you're a part of it, it's a whole different thing.
Oh yeah.
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 So then it's like, well, hey, the camaraderie I'm having with these great folks in Modesto, that's happening in South Africa, or that's happening in Taiwan, or that's happening in Russia, or somewhere. So
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite Rotary memories for making up, besides the Series Club, which was great, the most slapstick humor. It was like being involved in the Three Stooges.
Right.
A live show. This is a number of years ago. But,
Okay.
But they had a great camaraderie in that group. But when I go back to Indonesia, where my wife is from, I would make up in their. This club is comprised of all ambassadors.
Okay.
And,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was a fascinating look into life from their perspective on Indonesia. And I've never studied Indonesia, so my wife has been and her family, has been the view that I get. So we went into this to a Rotary meeting there in Jakarta, and after the meeting was over, they all had their sidebar conversation, and they were talking about the different groups there in Indonesia, and this is completely unsolicited. They didn't know my wife from anybody else, and they said, "Oh yeah, the Batak tribe. Hire them every day of the week and twice on Sunday because those guys, they get it done. They're known for being very industrious." And so my wife's sitting there, and she's just getting prouder by the second, because she hadn't heard anything positive like this. This is completely unsolicited, and her tribe is Batak.
Okay.
And so it was just a neat time. Oh, and she got to hear about her history. The guy that actually got on the radio when the Japanese were kicked out of Indonesia.
Okay.
At the end of the World War II. And so she got to hear a historical perspective that, she'd only read in school up until that point. Very fascinating. So good stuff. You never know what you're going to run into when you make up overseas. But from everybody I've heard that have made up overseas, they've always enjoyed it. Doesn't matter. Hospitality is wonderful. And, it gives you another glimpse of what else is happening in the world.
What does the future hold for you in Rotary?
Well, I hope many, many more years of being involved and just enjoying the ride in there. For whatever comes along. International Service Committee has been a great involvement, and that goes with the international theme, once again. I'd love to be able to take some trips to actually see a variety of projects. That hasn't been in the cards to date. Finances go up and down, but maybe that now that I'm on the bubble, so to speak, of my career, figure I got another 9 years to go, and who knows? Herta and I would love to travel and see what other clubs have done with the grants that we've been a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Kevin, I just want to thank you, A, for being the inaugural guest here, so appreciate that, and B, for all the work that you've done in the past for Rotary, but especially in roughly this past calendar year. And just from an initial conversation, you've been there, you've been very calm, you've been a good partner, and I think our club understands the work you've put in, but I really hope they understand the work you put in, and you've just done it all. And you've said to me, you said, hey, I've got a servant's heart for this, and you do, and it shines through, and I really appreciate it, and I know the club does too, so thank you.
Oh, my favorite statement is, this is like breathing for me. So, hey, breathing is very important.
Right, what you taught me.
So if it's like breathing, it's easy.
Right.
So I love it. That and just being able to resolve for any issues that do come up, and knowing that I've got people I can reach out and touch, even beyond the club, to help us resolve those issues. And that's been the other fascinating part, because this pandemic has made all of us who are, all of us on the technical end, we're bored mentally because we aren't challenged by constant things happening. And so as I've coordinated stuff together for where we are currently, I would reach out to my technical friends and find out, they're bored too. So they're happy to pitch in and help, bored mentally. So this has been a very much a positive to keep those of us like-minded engaged in this process. And we look forward to helping Rotary have much success in communicating between members. If we can't communicate, then we don't have a club. So
True.
I'm very happy to be in the middle of making this happen, and making your year a success. And our new incoming president, when she gets here, and Sue, President Sue, elect, hopefully she'll be able to continue that successful run with what we've done this year.
All right, well, thank you. And that's been our first episode of the MoRo Talk Show, and hopefully we will see you back real soon.